So hi there, welcome to lesson 4 module 6. Now we'll be talking about appending data sets. Appending data sets, very important concept. And we're going to use at the end of this lesson the append command. Very powerful. Okay, so we need to first understand something, that anytime you have data loaded into Stata, by default is called master data. And that data set is residing currently in the memory. Now, sometimes there's another data set called using data set, which is added to the bottom of the current data set. So I'm going to show everything practically. Just hold on a bit. So I would say it again. When you use the use command, you have the first data set. Then the using command is not loaded currently. It is in some folder somewhere, and that's what is used to attach to the master. So it's like some kind of stacking up of data sets, which we will see very, very shortly. The next one is could be data set 2. So all of them are called using data set. Now let's go on to practicals. We have built some foundation in the last lesson, and now we'll go back to those things because we're about to use the first command, append. Now I'm sure you remember this table, the books. So we had 3 books by Julia. So she has her records of all her books, the PID, which is her PID, the book ID, the titles, and the groups. The same thing with Mark. Mark has 2 books. These are his details. But there are 3 separate tables. Basically, 3 separate tables. One for Mark, one for Chris, and you can see them separated. So the goal of append is to bring them into one table, bring them together. Now remember, master, using, so 3 data sets, but we're assuming that Julia's data has been installed first, and then you're going with Mark, and then going with Chris. So that's basically what append tries to do. It tries to bring data sets, usually with the same variables. Usually, sometimes it's not true. With the same variables, and bring them into one data set, all harmonized. Until now, they were separated, but now you bring them as one data set. So basically, let's see the theory or the working or the thinking behind the append command. It adds another data set to the bottom of the current data set, and then the variables, which must be in the same format, align with the bottom. Now, even if it doesn't, in advanced levels, if it doesn't even align, they will still join somehow, and I'll explain that. And then there's something you need to watch out for. It's important that the corresponding variables are spelled the same way. So sex and gender. So let's say master data has sex. Uh, the using data has gender. They will not append perfectly. There will be a misalignment. So the append data again inherits the value labels of the master data set. You remember we talked about categorical variables. So when you are joining, you have to be very, very, very careful. So after appending, the number of observations usually increase. So you remember there was only Julia's own. You appended it to Chris and then to the other guy. So it was from 3, it moved to 7. So as you append, more observations are added, except in advanced cases we have what we call an empty data set. So that's how it looks like. So the syntax. Now append joins files. So there was Julia file, join it to Chris, and that's how it works. You join. So let's say append using auto. That means there is already a file out there which we consider to be the master file, and then we append on 2 data sets. And then it has an option to generate a variable that shows which data set is the master and those that are supporting. So basically, this is how the append command works. So we are now going to a practical session, so we allow this sink in very well. And I'm sure when we're done with practical session, you'll be able to understand how the append works. And It's a beautiful thing. Trust me, it's very beautiful, and you will really, really like it. So when I just want to add one more thing, if I say using file name, basically is the way we have tried to refer to files. Either we put the path there, or we use the change directory symptoms. Strategy, where we have change directory before we use a file. So anytime you are saying using, I think it's best to put a change directory or make sure that you specify the file path. So thank you so much. We'll meet in the second, it's not secondary, the practical session for this lesson, and maybe allow that slip in before we move on to merging data sets. So see you in the practical session. So welcome to lesson 4 tutorials in module 6. We're looking at the append practicals. Now, for us to do this, we would go, I have my blank canvas again. So I start with my do files, sysuse, and then I have BP wide. That's one of the pre-installed datasets in Clear in Stata. So it has opened the file for me. Now, one of the things that we're asked to do to this dataset is to group them into 6 major groups according to their patient ID number. So you can just pause the video and look at it. So you say group the 120 patients into or let's use the word split the 120 patient into 6 groups, A to F. So we'll have group A, group B, group C, group D, group E, and F. 6 groups. So if you recollect, if you come back here and check just down here, you'll see that we have 120. So that's where we got the 120 patients into 6 groups. So we're going to have these data sets. So there's no time to waste. So there are a couple of ways to do this, but we're not going to spend so much time since we have a full practical session again where we can explore more. It's just to allow this concept sink. So if you're interested in the full practical session, you just wait for look out for module 7, I think, or 8. The last module the last lesson rather, the last lesson rather in this module. So please look out for it. We will discuss more. So don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. Share with your friends, share with your students, share with people who have a limited understanding of data. So let's get into the meat of the matter. I'm going to use one style to achieve that goal. Split the data of the 120 patients to 160 groups. So the first thing to do, and I'll tell you why, is to use the preserve and restore. Why? I'm not going to use it so that you get an idea of what I'm saying. So if I say keep if in range, which was the last thing you did. Now, if you're dividing into 20 groups, that will be 1 to 20 will be, keep in range. And then I say save. Save as BP wide A, comma, replace. And then I say again for B, I just copy. I say keep 21 to 40. We'll keep playing with this particular simple BP wide for a while, coming back to do some stuff here. So that's exactly what they want. Just have 6 data sets, split into 6 data sets. And then later on we're going to append it again. Now when you do this, if you keep 1 to 20, by the time it's time to keep 21 to 24, because you have kept this, you have damaged the data set. I talked about irreversible actions. So keep and drop are irreversible actions. So I could go on and on. So let's, I will try it. There's no need to waste so much time. Let's just try it. Let me comment this out. What it means is basically it does not need to be, it's not going to run. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, sorry. Keep if in range. I have missed something very important. Patient. That's the syntax. Syntax is not complete. I was just trying to share. So patient, and then keep in range. Patient, comma. Yeah. So when you run that, what you immediately see here, good. You see, this was 1 to 20. Let me run the first 6 lines rather. So 1 to 20 was here. But now when you say you should keep 21 to 20 to 40, it can't find anything. So it becomes blank. And this is because the keep command has changed the data set. The data set had 120 observations, now it has only 20. So keep, drop, collapse, contract, we've observed they alter the state of the data. Not only these commands, but if you want to use them and do other activity on the data, you have to use a preserve and a restore. So let's see what happens when I create some space here. So I click here, Control X, click preserve, and click restore. And then remove the comments so they can run normally, turn to blue. So I run again now. Now watch. The first thing it will do is keep this and this and save. Now, one of the challenges is that we need to have a CD, a directory where this will be saved. Since we are doing module 6, we'll save it in module 6 folder. So in our C drive, let's click here. Let's go to Stata Sage. And now we're going to have module 6 here. So literally every module had something. I would advise you just save like that on your system, especially if you are using Windows. Okay, and then we'll enter. So we need to copy that address out. Copy path, Control Shift C when you select the folder, and then you come back home here to your do file and then paste. I need to have the other screen showing. So no hanky panky, no focus. This is the folder where BPA will save, BP white B will save if it runs properly. So I'm going to run now. Now when I run, what I see on my current screen is 21 to 40, which was the last instruction given to Stata. And it's because it has passed all this level, it has run all this level. And how you know is you would find in the folder we just finished now, module 6, you can see the two data sets in there, A and B. So it has created that, and we're going on to C. So it's a practical session, so we'll just continue. So the best technique, because now if I also go back and now say, okay, I want to do 41 to 60, which will be C, I would have the same problem I had some few minutes ago, 41 to 60. Because right now, by the time we stopped, and last time we stopped here, the challenge was it can't find that number here. It cannot find 41 to 60, so it will be blank. So let's try it. It's keeping nothing. And what happens is that it saves a blank BP white C there. If you go here to this file, it's empty. You can try it when you are home. I just don't want to break the flow of the explanation. So best practice, preserve, restore, preserve, restore, preserve, restore. So this is preserve, preserve, and then this is restore under it, restore. And then you can do your comments, write your comments. We talked about this also in module 2. So you say group A, data extraction, group B, and group C. So I'll change this, just copy it and edit. So trust me, there are faster ways of doing what I did. But you're at the beginner level, you're just starting. So it would be so unfair to just start introducing some additional levels of complexity. These entire modules are for beginners, you know. So this is how we go. So I will also copy again, just copy, because I want to reproduce D, E, and F without having to take so much space there. So this would be my D. I change this to D, and I'll change this to 61 to 80. This is 81 to 100, and this is 101 to 120, capturing all the people that we want. This is F, this is E, and this is D. So when we do all this, we will have 6 data sets stored in that folder. So let's look at it again here. So you can see A, B, C, D. They were created in folder C, Stata Sage and module 6. So these are the files we are supposed to append, but there's just something else we need to do. We need to differentiate them. If you bring them together, there may be some kind of challenge. You get my point? But we'll go ahead and just bring them together. Just watch how we do it. So you may just want to open one or two of them just to check. Let's randomly open C now and come back here, down here, and say use BP wide C, comma clear. Let's see. C should have 41 to 60. So let's run it. So this is 41 to 60. It's all there. So you can take your time and don't rush things here. You take your time, open the file yourself and check if these things are so. If they are not, you don't find the same results I'm getting for any of my videos, please write it in the comments and we could just have a walk through. My time is limited, but I would make sure I create time to show a walkthrough, especially if you can explain why there's that challenge. So the same thing happens for C. I'm just trying, let's type C here in line 45 and run again. So F rather. So it's 101 to 12. So they're all there and they're all saved. So now the goal is to append. Now we have to have what we call the master data, and then we now have what we call the using data. We'll explain that in the presentation and we'll make that easy. So I'm going to show some varieties of ways of doing that. We're bringing back BP wide into one data set, but we are able to see each of the groups. So I will start with A, which is patient 1 to 20. And I would say append using BP wide B. Now if you look, A will be in the memory. That's what it means. That means A is what you are seeing. Now BP wide is in this folder too, so sometimes if you are appending, best practice, especially if they are in separate folders, is to come and specify the folder address where the files you are appending. I'm appending 5 files now to A. I'm appending B, C, D, E, and F to A. So I will do append using BP wide, and it will go and look for BP wide in this folder and add it to A. Now please take note of the screen that you have, data editor by your left, when this is done. I'm also going to do what I call a variable that differentiates the appended data set. So we're going to call it gen group. I talked about group A, group B, and all that. So gen group. Okay, and let's now browse now. So you see, we have 40 observations numbering from 1 to 40. And we now have group here. It has just been added called data source. Let's see what happens here. So we have master, the main one, and appended data set 1, which is BPYB. So all I need to do is to keep adding. Sorry, it's for append, so it's not written that way. If you want to now add other data sets, you have to put it in a straight line. That's how the syntax works. So BPC, BP wide D, BP wide E, BP wide F. So that's what we have here. BP wide A, B, C. So we're going to check how this runs, and we're going to look at the observations here. Now we have 6 variables, and it's because of this group that was added. It was never there before. Okay, sorry, let's just run everything again. Now we can see we have 120 back, all appended, starting from this portion down to the end. So it's very important. I want to identify some things. So now this data set 1, data set 2, up to 5. The 5 appended data sets are here in this group. So, but that may not be how we want to label the group, since the client told you is A to F. So we're going to do something now to change that clearly. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about briefly, just briefly, and I'm going to just change this now to F. And always note that the using the initial master data set will always be on top. When we had A here, we started from 1 to 20. But if we start with F, then add B, C, D, E, F, E, A, and A is the last. Just take a look at about what you see. So it starts with F. F is the last batch here. Then it continues with B, which is 21. Then it goes on to C like that till it ends. So take note that the first data set that is in memory before the append command is the one that will be on top. So append is just adding. Remember the PowerPoint presentation you just watched? We're adding under, just like appending. It's like joining something from beneath. So that's it basically. But let's just return it back to A, and let's go on and do some other further work here. Okay. Now the client wants it to be group A, group B, group C. Fine. So if you look at the numbering system here, because they are blue, so there's a number behind the words. We mentioned this in module 2, so you can go and watch if you have no idea what I'm talking about. So this is master 0, and this is 1. That's the value for data set 1. Data set 1 is 1, data set 2 is 2, data set 3 is 3, data 4 is 4, and 5 is 5. If we go to 5, now we're on 5, 5 is 5. Always pay attention to this and this. Now if you follow the exact syntax, that's why you can pause the video and try it on your own. This exact syntax, you should get the same results. Please take note of a few things whenever you're using append. Take note of the comma and the gen, and then the parentheses, the brackets. So if you do that, you should just be fine. Okay, so watch closely, and if you are not able to get or reproduce what I just did now, also just let me know in the comments, and then you could probably share a screenshot. You could find out what the problem is. So technically speaking, we start with a 0 and we end with a 5. That's fine. So we now have to define labels. You know, this label that you have, we're now going back to lesson module 3. This label that you have, you're not happy with it, so you can change it. I told you that, you know, if your 1 is yes, my own 1 can be male. I want my 0 to be group A. I want my 1 to be group B. So what do I do? Label define GRP 0 is group A, comma, modify. So I continue. Let's just create some space. So of course, it's easier to just copy and paste and edit. So I'm going to copy for the 6 groups. So this is B. B will have the value of 1, which is for appended data set 1. You can see it here where my mouse is, and it's 1 written here. C is 2. D is 3. 4 is E. And 5 is F. So we have defined a label, but like I always tell you, defining it does not mean you have attached it. So things don't change if you even run it. So if you run it again, things are still going to be the same. But when you now say, you take the final step after you have told the computer what your definition stands for. 0 stands for group A, 1 stands for group B, and so on and so forth. So you say label, what's the variable name? The variable name is group, which you can see here and you can see here. Label values group as GRP being the group you just defined here. And we can run again. Sorry, let's run again. So from the scratch. So we have group A, group B, up to F. That's how to append. Very interesting, isn't it? So we had to first split the file, then append it again. And that's beautiful. So this is how the append command works. I want you to give it a try. But this time around, I want you to have 12 groups. 12 groups. Try it and see what you think. Just 12 groups. Only want 12 groups here instead of 6. And label it and build your confidence. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video.